Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to the UPress Play Sports Podcast. We're looking new, we're looking brand new, we're looking into a new era, new setup. Man, there's so many things that I could say, but let's get the little scary, nervous things out. It was a great summer for student media, for all of us, new positions, things like that. And it's just honestly so surreal to have the lights, the setup. Last time the three of us were here, it was after our Jacobs interview. And we had said last show, the final show, April 19th, you, me, and Cameron Maddox, it kind of sounded like a little bit of an obituary.
Yeah,
we weren't sure how the show was going to look because we had new positions, new titles, but we're here. We're here in the FAU OwlTV studio in association with them and Owl Radio. How are you guys feeling? First thoughts about the new show setup?
I love this. This is so nice. I love the couch and everything looks a little more like slick, and I feel like we're kind of just sitting around having a conversation more so rather than sitting around a table. And now I know like everyone can see what's going on, so it's nice when I do hand gestures. You can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no more of the back of Maddox's head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
People can finally see my head, which is great.
No, it's great. That's great. What about you?
Very professional. I love it. I'm living out like my Stephen A. Smith dreams right now.
Absolutely.
But it's good to have Megan on full time. It's good to be back with Maddox, JD. A lot of stuff to talk about. I'm excited. It's good to see y'all.
Yeah, so let's cover that. Some updates with student media. We had SMAB, which stands for Student Media
Advisory Board.
I don't want to necessarily say out with the old and in with the new because that kind of sounds like bad, but
we
had
just said it, so.
Yeah, I already said it. We have a new editor-in-chief. Shout out to her at the University Press, Sofia de la Espriella. Let's clap it up for her, guys. And let's also clap it up for Megan, our new sports editor, and I believe our first woman sports editor at the University Press. So honestly, that's really dope. Maddox, now programming director at Owl Radio.
Exactly.
Right? Yep. Clap it up for that. And Cameron's like Unc now. He's been sports editor. He's done his due diligence at the UP, and now he's cooking things up with Owls 247. And yeah, now me, I am also the managing editor at the University Press.
One more golf clap.
I appreciate that. So just a lot of changes at student media, also including new station managers at radio. Shout out to Nick Turok, and shout out to Alexis, who's offset. New position.
Golf clap as well.
Little golf claps all around. It's just a new era. I think that's been our main branding message to all the students at FAU and the local Boca area, that it's really a new era for student media. Every time SMAB comes around historically, everyone puts in their pitch that they want TV to be involved with the UP and they want radio involved with TV, but here we are actually doing it. And I think that's just it's really dope that the three of us are, worked it all out. Shout out Mitchell, our producer over there to the side. I think it's just really cool. When I came here as a freshman and, switched my major to journalism, student media was, it was in an interesting place to put it. And to be a part of the evolution of it has just been honestly incredible.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah. So, obviously, if you're new to this and you just got through that whole thing of us reminiscing, this is the UPress Play Sports Podcast.
Actually, now UPress Play, no longer the
sports.
Yeah,
we're gonna drop
the
sports podcast, but for the people that are just like, what is this? That's what we do. We're here to talk everything athletics, FAU, local, national, all of that. This upcoming week, we're actually pretty dry as far as FAU athletics, but we'll get into that later into the show. But yeah, we get into it all. Olympics, we'll be getting to that later into the show. NBA, NFL, all of that. But it's been a long time since we did the last show. It's been about 3 months. So how was summer, guys? How did we enjoy that time off? I actually didn't have too much time off, but
Yeah, I didn't have too much time off either. I was working the whole summer.
Yeah,
but it was nice to get the money. So
yeah, had to get to the bag. Maddox, how was it going back home?
It was great back home in Tarpon. Just chilling around, watching sports, watching the Olympics. Starting to love a lot of new sports I normally wouldn't like volleyball, fencing. It's really exciting. The speed rock climbing was also kind of interesting.
That was so entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it's impressive what they do, especially water polo. Props to them. I would never do. I would sink immediately. I would drown almost immediately.
I
trying
think
to
it's
do
weird.
Know how to swim?
I do, but I mean,
Okay,
that cart going back and forth and trying to like
wanna
throw
make
the
sure.
ball through the net while have like multiple people trying to like, I don't know, like throw it under water or something.
It's
like,
literally a part of the rules to like drown your opponents.
Yeah.
And I think that's really insane. But I think the most intense one that I like was really underrated. I don't know. I think it's called handball.
Oh, yeah.
And so handball, like in New York, where my family's from, it's kind of like it's like tennis or like racquetball, but you use your hand. So to see that version of handball where they're like, you know, they're dribbling the ball.
It's
like
like
you
a mixture
said.
of like basketball, hockey, and I guess also like either like field hockey or soccer or something. Have like the goals, you can like dribble. So-
Yeah, no, that was one of the more interesting sports that I got to watch over the Olympics. But
No breakdancing fans?
I was a fan. I was really mad with Ray Gunn. I was very mad with her. I'm very mad with her.
yeah, the Australian breakdancer.
Yeah.
That was a whole crazy controversy that we pretty much the point of the show is we want to be able to bring that information to the viewers. You know, but the first show, getting the first show sillies out in a brand new studio that just looks absolutely incredible. And we're still working out some kinks to be live on the Breezeway with the radio. But yeah, I mean, the Olympics was honestly, it makes me wish that it was more than 4 years. Like, I feel like every 2 years would be super dope, but then maybe that might take away
Well,
from the
there's the
specialness.
Winter Olympics.
Yeah, Winter Olympics is 2026.
What are we watching in the Winter Olympics?
Like
Snowboarding?
Ice skating.
Ice
Ice skating, actually.
Bigger
I mean, but
bigger
if you were to
skating.
tell
I mean,
me like, yo, are
kinda
you gonna watch breakdancing next summer? Like a year ago, I probably would have told you no as well. So
But we didn't like the. I personally loved breakdancing, and I think it's actually confirmed that they're not going to bring it back for the next Olympics.
Yeah, which is
L.
unfortunate. And
Huge
like,
L.
what's funny is in 2032, the next Summer Olympics after the LA Olympics is in Australia. So if breakdancing comes back, do you think Ray Gunn's going to come
Bring
back
back Ray
into
Gunn.
Australia?
I think she'll probably be too old by then. But I don't know. There were some breakdancers who were up there in age. But I think that was the most impressive thing to me about breakdancing is like a lot of them were like teenagers and just absolutely killer.
And the oldest I think was like 41. I think she like came into like the semifinals or something for the women's, which is insane.
Yeah, no, that was definitely one of the better events, and it's a shame that they're not bringing it back. But I think the main thing that we all want to talk about that we probably were all paying attention to was basketball.
for sure.
Yeah, Cameron, for any thoughts on USA's basketball's journey to gold?
I mean, it was, for me at least, it was just one amazing to watch. Like so many of like this NBA era stars play on the same team. Like it's like it was an experience getting to watch like LeBron throw an assist to Curry, who like pass it on the next possession is like passing it to Kevin Durant. Like childhood stars like on the same team. That was just like so cool to watch, and like LeBron go like nuclear for like an entire month was awesome, bro. Like he's 39, he's leading the team in minutes played, field goal percentage, assists and rebounds. I think the only like major stat he didn't lead in was points, and he was like half a point average behind Steph Curry, and he's like 39 years old. So like not to watch that, and it's, I admit, I turned into like a real patriot during like the Olympics.
yeah,
Like I was
valid.
like chanting USA at my screen. Like it was such kind of like a really cool experience to watch those guys together play for USA. I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah, over the summer, I was coming into the newsroom a little bit, and it was that game against Serbia where I believe USA was down double digits going into that fourth quarter.
That was awesome.
And we were here with Wesley, who's our UP advisor. Shout out Wes.
Yeah.
And Pete, who's a worker here at FAU. And we pulled up the game on our phone, and as that comeback's happening, I believe it was like a 4-0 run by LeBron and then a Curry 3 after that. Everybody's going just absolutely bonkers. And it really it is such an interesting thing that happens every 4 years, because so many things go on in the country, politics, you know, just the country is so divided at times. But then when it comes to the Olympics, and especially basketball, it's just like there's
It
something about the
unites
aura, right?
That's the beauty of sports. Like both unites us, but also at times it divides, especially if like your divisional rivals, like a big game. It's like, I don't like the person next to me because your team just defeated my team.
Yeah, but that was really fun. Did you have something to?
No, I was just gonna say, like, I agree with Cameron. I thought it was amazing to see all these players, like these star players that we've been watching, like, play on opposing teams, get to finally come together. And I also really loved that it was France versus the USA at the end, just because France had Victor.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's so cool that, you know, he's playing in the NBA, but he wanted to play for his country because, you know, it was his first year living here, and it was so cool to see him playing with like his kind of team, but then also playing us. And you know, I had to be the Patriot and root for the USA.
No,
To
yeah.
that point, though, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you. I
you're
just think
good.
it's so cool, like, how now when you watch the Olympics compared to, like, 12 years ago with how, like, international the NBA has become, like, so many teams in, like, the Olympics are rolling out lineups with, like, 3 NBA players. Like, I want to say France, their starting lineup pretty much all were NBA players.
I know Nicholas Batum, Victor Wembanyama, Evan Fournier,
Right.
and possibly some former players. The guy who dunked on LeBron.
Yeah, you're
He just
Sean
got signed.
Yabusele, to the
He just got
Sixers.
signed.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy that you can just
That's
dunk
just
on an
one
NBA
example.
player.
When you look at like Canada, like pretty much their entire roster is essentially like professionals, or if not, they're in the NBA. So not only it's like a lot, I feel like it's a lot more like competitive now. It's just like cool when like the Olympics came around this year to see how much like the game has grown. In addition to watching Captain L'America just ruin everybody's dreams.
Yeah, no, that was definitely an experience. Between the France game and the Serbia game, just back to back, and just so many storylines to cover. Not even just in basketball, but the overall Olympics. I mean, Steph Curry's first gold medal, which I mean, it's just an absolute shame that this had to be his first Olympics, and he's already getting up there in age. Wish we could have experienced that a little bit longer. But yeah, you as the resident San Antonio fan here on the panel, that must have been really cool to see. Pretty much your prodigal,
our
player.
prodigy, like playing. It was really cool, and also that game was great in the fourth quarter. You know how Steph went. It was just he played his game. Like he came to life in that, and I don't know if you guys saw, but his pictures with the medal. Did you see how happy he was? Like everyone was talking about it. He had the biggest smile on his face.
Some of like the coolest pictures I've ever seen came out of the Olympics. Like the one, I know you guys have seen the one. I think it's the Serbia game. I think it's Bogdanovic like laying on the floor, and like Steph Curry's like jumping over him, screaming. Like all the fans are in the back.
Absolutely.
It's like the coolest photo
No,
ever.
that's definitely has to be like a photographer's dream. Like I would like to dabble in photography, but I think if there were any events that I would want to do, it would definitely be like the Rose Bowl or like a Florida State game. So whatever is the biggest college football game. The Olympics, definitely. I don't know, what else do you think would be cool to photograph?
Super Bowl.
Super
The
Bowl.
Super Bowl.
But I gotta say, like, did you guys see on like Twitter where someone was made like they made reference back to like earlier, I think in 2013 or so, like meme where it was like a picture of Kevin Durant and James Harden when they were both on the Thunder.
I do
They're like
know
mom
what you're
made pizza
talking
rolls
about.
with I think it was like Evan Fournier and Vic
Wembanyama.
mom made croissants or something. Like just like they recreated that. That's just like kind of like that was just amazing to see the kind of that beauty of like the internet, like all being united and seeing that one moment and then like recapturing that memory again. Especially that's kind of common theme with Team USA. These 3 big stars: LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. Hardly all 3, none of them have been on the team all 3 together. And but now with this Team USA team, all like our childhood memories watching sports when we were young, basketball, young, watching these guys rising to be the top. Yeah. And now all 3 of them about to retire, most likely, since the next Olympics is in 2028. As you said, Cameron, like LeBron's 39, Kevin Durant thinks around like 35, 36. Steph Curry's about and it's like early 30s. So a lot of them kind of getting up in there in age. So we're probably not going to see most of those guys again. It's just kind of great
exactly
seeing that.
Right. And like we shouldn't take it for granted because like I don't think it was even like a given that like the 3 of them played together. I remember reading about like how LeBron had to do like some recruiting to get like Steph Curry along. So people shouldn't take that for granted. Like seeing like 3 like some might make the argument the 3 best players that have ever played like playing together. So it was just really awesome to watch.
Yeah, and I think one thing too that the reason we appreciate USA basketball more and the teaming up of the stars is that we see it in the All-Star game, but there's no actual competitive like value to it because it's there. Nobody wants to get hurt. It's in the middle of the NBA season, but this is actually full stakes on the line. And like I said, I feel like most of the players, even at times, it's like the representing USA, is it something that you really want to do? But once you're there and you're competing with other teams and you see the joy that is across pretty much the whole nation, being represented in that moment, just to play the game of basketball, just honestly an incredible moment. But yeah, basketball is always my favorite when the Olympics comes around. But I'm definitely going to have to start checking out handball a little bit more.
Actually, I want to kind of go back to what Cameron was saying about the global scale of basketball, because people were saying like this team should be called like the redeemed team, like the supreme team or something. And someone I saw someone look up that, and like the dream team in like '92 or something, they play a total of like 7 NBA guys in that tournament through their run. This time it was about 60. So you're seeing the global scale. Like almost everyone on the Canadian team plays for an NBA team. Almost a couple of guys on a France team have played on or playing on an NBA team or used to or just signed to an NBA team. So that global scale we are seeing is just a beauty of sports.
Yeah,
I think, for basketball.
No, I think the jarring stat is that I think 1/3 of the whole NBA is international players. I mean, the top three: Giannis, Jokic, and Shea, and Luka. Honestly, so you could
Shea
argue.
a top 3 player?
I mean, people are saying. I saw a thing this morning on Instagram how like the Thunder are like the most complete team, and I'm like, I really don't. I mean, I don't.
No, you could make that argument. We're getting off topic here, but
No, I mean, and that's what we do here. That's what we
is Shea
do
a top
UPress
3
play.
player?
I mean, he's top 3 MVP, so finish voting. But that's a discussion we could get into on our next show, which will be Fridays around the same time. But yeah, really dope Olympics. But staying onto the topic of summer, our last show being in April, there's quite a few things that went on. New champions that were crowned. Actually, if you look at Maddox's shirt, I can't stand to look at it any longer. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how that NBA playoff finish. Maddox, what do you have to say as the resident champion of the show?
The greatest run ever. People are saying about all these injuries and whatnot. That is not true. That is not true at all. The Celtics are a complete team. They have been yes, they are kind of a super team, but they have played tremendously this entire season.
Notice how nobody brought up super team?
They're playing. They're this tremendous team played on this tremendous run in the regular season. Then a couple of tournament games, some of those guys got injured, and then when the Celtics played those teams in the next round, their star guy got injured. Not against the Celtics, it was against another opponent. So you can't really blame the Celtics for that misfortune. Like Halliburton getting injured was during that game. Like for Donovan Mitchell, that wasn't the Celtics thing because that was against the Orlando Magic. But I mean, it was great to see Banner 18 finally the Celtics again a step further against LA. So.
May I?
Yeah, go right ahead.
First of all, congratulations on the championship.
Yeah, congrats. A little golf clap.
Greatest run ever is crazy. Like, crazy.
I don't even think you believe that.
I don't think he does either. Because we can
top 5 probably.
Now it's not the greatest.
I mean, it was
right. You see, I was
quickly took it back.
Let's just
moving the
go
goalposts
through who they beat to get there. Miami, was anybody they almost lost to Chicago.
Chill.
No offense. And then it was what? Tyrese Halliburton led Pacers.
And the Cavs.
And then the Cavs. And then they hurt Mavericks in the finals. That's not the greatest run of all time. Congratulations.
No, they weren't really hurt because because Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic were both healthy. That was their only top player.
Maybe am I making things up? Was Luka Doncic not battling an injury in the finals?
All players got injured during playing almost the entire regular season. Playing the playoffs, everyone's injured. Everyone's hurt. Everyone has to fight through that though.
Thank God this is the setup of the show. Let's just we need to be the mediators in the middle. But you know what? I will say I do feel bad for Celtics fans because I just asked them to talk about the championship and their immediate reaction is to go into the defense. It's like, dang man, I hope you actually enjoyed it. But
I did enjoy it.
You dodged the Knicks by the luck of the draw.
I would have really enjoyed that. I mean,
that would have been an awesome
everyone was
series.
still saying Celtics in 7 against that series, but it would have been much more entertaining. I was kind of looking forward to that, but how heavily injured the Knicks were. I think 6 or 7 total players of theirs were healthy, and most of them were not even the starters. So I mean, this season I do expect for the Knicks. Even though I know JD, you're a Heat fan, but also from New York, so I also have that little bit love for New York.
Yeah, I bleed a little blue and orange.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully in these playoffs, Knicks and Celtics in the ECF. I mean, I know October 22nd when the NBA starts. Celtics and Knicks in TD Garden, so that'd be a very entertaining game to start.
Are we just totally ruling out a Bulls Eastern Conference Finals appearance?
Yeah, resident Chicago fan right here. He's suffering, but he won't be suffering much longer thanks to the savior known as Caleb Williams.
Well, we're gonna wait for NFL.
Yeah,
we're gonna wait for NFL.
Right now it's preseason, so.
Yeah, we've definitely there's definitely endless topics for us to get into, but we're very happy to be back on campus and getting back into the groove of the show and making a habit of it. There's a few things that I miss, when the show is gonna be, things like that, but. All good. We'll get into that on Friday, which will be our next show. Is it 3:30? It's 3:30, right? 3:30 to 4:30. yeah, that'll be our start time. But we're still working out the kinks and stuff like that. So we appreciate to everybody on our live, on our Instagram live. Thank you for being here. As we work the show, the set will start to evolve. We have our props here. Hopefully around Halloween, we have a Halloween theme. Me and Cameron talking about when the NFL season comes back. Maybe we all put like pads and helmet on. We run some Oklahoma drills in front. That'd be really fun. But yeah, I mean, congrats to the Boston Celtics. I mean, it was really honestly just like a almost flawless run. Obviously, there's always that one loss that they take to Miami.
Yeah.
Wait, or you guys? No, you guys didn't sweep, right?
I want to say Miami won one game in that.
Yeah, they won a game, but then I think it's like
they won the game in Boston.
Yeah.
So I mean, besides that and the one loss that you guys had to, I believe, the Mavericks, pretty flawless run. So it's just a perfectly built team. Drew Holiday and Derek White, honestly, one of the craziest backcourts, defensively speaking, and neither of those guys miss shots. So, I mean, you guys are champions for the rest of the season. You get to hang your hat on that, so that's really incredible.
But now again, like everyone's now eyeing you, going against you, which I remember around that time when the Celtics started building their team was right when the NBA was like, okay, we're gonna try to like make kind of like made a rule against like that kind of like super team-esque like type of thing. So people are like, oh, the Celtics got away easily for doing that, but like that was right after they already set that team up. But from here on out, like NBA is having that like ruling per se. But I mean, looking at it now, I mean like the Mavericks got in Klay Thompson, the Knicks got some guys, bring back that Villanova squad all together. So the East is gonna be stacked. So I mean, the Knicks, the Bucks probably, all like kind of contenders I see. I don't see this 76ers getting anywhere past round 2, but I mean.
Okay.
We're going to have plenty of hot takes.
To like stay on that point, with the new CBA, they're making it really hard to have like a repeat champion just because of like all the restrictions when you're spending money they have now. But I feel like Boston, is as set up as like anybody we've seen in the past couple of years to repeat. Just because like you just said, how good their like core is right now. Like it seems like all of their guys, especially their stars like Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, they are in their prime right now. And
they're all locked down for the next few years, too.
Exactly. I would say they have their core guys locked down. I think, Jason Tatum's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder this season from, not playing in the Olympics.
Jaylen Brown not playing in the Olympics.
Yeah, I was not happy with that, to be honest.
I don't want to
I'm glad Derek White got in there, but I was like, I felt like Jaylen Brown, I mean, he should have been in the Olympics when Kawhi,
I feel like a lot of stuff other than basketball got into that, but as far as like the Celtics, I feel like they have as good a chance as anybody, even in a stacked East.
Yeah.
What do you think, Megan, about San Antonio Spurs' chances at the playoffs this upcoming season?
I don't know. I definitely think that we're going to be better overall with the record this season. Now that everyone's kind of coming together more, and it's like in, Wembanyama's second year, he's still very young. I'm not. My expectations aren't extremely high. I'm just going to be honest. No
play.
I don't think so this year.
I'd venture to say.
I'm thinking next year.
Next year has to be the year.
But this year,
an unbiased
I
fan,
don't have a expectation for playoffs.
Do you expect them to win like an in-season tournament like trophy or something? Like what is like the Emirates type thing?
The in-season
the Lakers put up a banner for that for no reason.
They could compete in that for sure.
Yeah.
I have full confidence.
You guys gonna hang the banner?
I think you should give him more credit, just because I think Victor Wembanyama is that good.
He's arguably a top 10 player already.
I would say he's that good already on both ends of the floor that I think he might be able to drag a still pretty young team that's still going to be filled out with like a lot of, I don't know what word I want to use, like placeholder almost type guys that as Victor continues to get older, they're going to replace with like Jaylen Brown type role player. I don't want to call him a role player, but like those type of players you hope to get around him. But I think even now, when they still have a really shaky young roster, he's good enough to maybe drag him into one of like those eight playoff spot, or like maybe even they do end up 10. I think he's someone that's good enough to win you not an in-season game, play-in game by himself and sneak into the playoffs. I don't think that's
I love that opinion.
crazy. I don't think that's crazy out of bounds. He's that good already.
I gotta say also now having Chris Paul into
Yeah,
the
the
mix,
Chris
him
Paul
having,
pickup.
even though of course him never being in NBA finals or whatnot, he at least had playoff experience. He's been around
Yeah.
with a lot of top
I don't
players
thi- I
for
would say,
many
I
years.
don't
So he has
think
that
he's going to be
experience.
crazy productive.
But he's
you
definitely bringing a lot more
But
insight
having
to
someone like him, it can supplement some of the problems of having an incredibly young roster. So
Plus
yeah,
also-
he'll definitely help.
Plus, also imagine how Victor Wembanyama will play now post Olympics. I mean, he 20 years old now, playing for his national team, playing against guys like LeBron James, playing against professional guys all around the world
Yeah,
at
that'll
a
help
high
him.
level, and that magnitude, taking France all the way to the finals. Also, props to the women's team as well for both Team USA and Team France also making that first time in history for the Olympics.
Can I go into a story? I know we're past the Olympics,
Yeah.
but for those of you who are listening, I work at a hotel, and whenever the Olympics were happening, for some reason, I guess they were probably escaping the traffic of the Olympics, but there were so many people from France staying at the hotel, and they were all where I work watching the gold medal game, and it was so awesome to see them get so disappointed by losing. Let me tell you, they were so.
That is
That's
so
awful.
awful.
That's an oxymoron right there.
It was-
so amazing how
It was
destroyed they
so
were.
fun. That's the beauty. It's sports, but it was so. They were so excited.
That's demon. That's demon
I
stuff.
mean,
Gary.
he got a medal. That's great. But I mean, how he said oxymoron in a way. It's so
No,
great
he
to
meant
see
no.
their misfortune.
No, he meant what he meant. I don't think
Yeah.
that's an oxymoron. That man was just
Well,
Came out to
praying
the-
on
Yeah,
their.
Yeah,
came
that's
after
why
the
he
French
went back
right
to
there.
it to say it.
Cameron's throwing shots at the French right now.
He was preying on their downfall,
Yeah.
but rightfully so. I mean, we needed that gold medal.
2 gold medals, USA basketball.
Yeah,
And,
Talk about it.
and also Kevin Durant, shout out to him, 4 Olympic gold medals and leading Team USA men's basketball.
That's his
in
4th?
points in history. Yeah.
That is, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's when we talk about Captain America, I think it should be Kevin Durant. We always say LeBron because LeBron's the face of the league, but I mean he is literally Team USA through and through. 4 Olympic gold medals, leading scorer. That's the guy for USA.
But I mean, also everyone on Twitter during that against the game against France, everyone was shouting out Steph Curry for him making all those ridiculous shots, expanding that lead to America to now winning that
Well, I
gold
still
medal.
get
So awesome.
snapshots of that off balance 3-pointer over 2 guys falling away. That was, I don't know. Humans aren't supposed to be able to do that, man.
He's a different human being for sure. But that was supposed to be our NBA topic. We got back to the overall basketball, but that's cool. But yeah, shout out Boston Celtics, our NBA champions for the 2024 calendar year. Another champion that I feel like we can all appreciate are our local home team, Florida Panthers, winning the Stanley Cup after almost blowing a 3-0 lead. Yeah, man, I went to the parade. That was honestly, I've never been to a championship parade before. Not really the biggest hockey fan, but I always do pay attention when the playoffs come around. I followed the Panthers' journey to the Stanley Cup last year, and that was really fun, especially at the time I was working at a sports bar. So that was just honestly an incredible experience. Anybody watch that or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What?
that was stressful. Yeah, I fully thought that they were gonna blow it, cause I felt like they started out so strong and how they came on with aggression, trying to score, but then I feel like the second game that they lost, that I was watching it, I'm like, what team is this? It
No,
seemed
it
like
looked
they
like a
weren't even
completely-
playing like themselves. So I'm very happy that they were able to get it together in the last game.
No, I think stressful. You hit it right on the head because, admittedly, I'm a hockey casual. When the playoffs comes around is when
Don't
I'm
know. I
watching
know
the
Connor
most.
McDavid and Wayne Gretzky.
What about
Wait,
the
wait,
Blackhawks savior Connor Bedard? No, you don't know him.
Now I remember.
Wait,
him.
do you
you
know?
know.
Wait, do you know any players on the Florida Panthers?
I know. Shout out Matthew Tkachuk. Shout out Sergei Bobrovsky.
say, what about
Bob.
Bob?
I knew it was
Other than
Bob.
those two guys.
Somebody else. Alexander Barkov.
Yeah.
Shout
There you
out
go.
him. He pulled up to a FAU game. And Montour. There's a guy named Montour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The last names, they're all very ethnic last names,
Yeah.
which I really like, but sometimes it's just a little hard to memorize at times. And also casual hockey fan. I feel like when it comes to hockey, if you're gonna be a casual fan, you at least gotta know your best player and the goalie. Because the
Yeah.
goalie, Sergei was playing MVP status that whole run, except for those 3 games that they lost in the Stanley Cup. And yeah, I totally agree. I think that was my biggest takeaway, was that it literally just looked like a completely different team. So when they lost that game 6, yeah, I was totally like, and ESPN and all the other publications are running with the narrative, first team to blow a 3-0 lead since however long. It was getting really spooky for them. And that was, but I will say that really definitely added to the moment when they won that goal that they hit to go up 2-1. I remember going absolutely bonkers in my room. And the reason, and you know what sucks too, is I had gone out for game 4 for the sweep. I had gone out for game 5. And after they lost game 5, I was like, man, I'm not going out no more. Like, I'm spending so much money having fun time with my friends, and then I'm going home just for them to lose and going home sad. So game 7, I was like, the Panthers don't deserve my money anymore. Like, I'm done with them. I didn't go to a whole Heat game last season because of the same reason. I'm like, I can't support.
This is why, like, if we're this emotional about, like, a sport that we're very casual with and, like, a team that we really don't have too much attachment to, like, what are you going to do if, like, I don't know, like what's going to happen when, like, the Heat make it to the finals again? Like, how stressed, I would say, how stressed are you going to be? What am I going to do? Because, like I said, I'm very casual with hockey. I mean, I was really kind of like a bandwagon with the Panthers, and I was still, like, stressed out. Like I, after that game 6, thought there was, like, no shot. Because not even thinking about, like, the schematics of hockey, just, like, when you lose 3 games, like, the way they did, I was like, there's no way they can, like, rile themselves up to go win a game 7.
Well, because that's tough mentally.
Like, with any, not even sports, like, just, like anything, like, when you get, like, told no that many times, it's like, I really thought there was, like, no way they pulled out that game 7, but they did, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, credit to the Edmonton Oilers, because, like you said, it's mentally tough to go down 3-0, but then on the flip side, to be, like, for them to be so strong and win 3 games straight, and for the Panthers to still stay solid, you know what I mean? Because the Oilers could have easily rolled over after they were down 3-0 and just given up. Even winning that first game, you know what I mean? Going into game 5 and having flat energy, they were absolutely destroying the Panthers, those 3 games that they won. And then on the flip side, to, you know, ride that high of having a 3-0 lead and then literally get punched in the mouth and the gut for the next 3 games and to lock in. I will say definitely home court advantage played a big factor for the Panthers.
Oh, in that game 7?
Absolutely, because I think they weren't even the first ones to score that game. That may be wrong, but I mean, they were tied going into the third half, or going in the middle of the second period. That's what throws me off about hockey, that it's periods. But yeah,
One
absolutely.
thing I will say, though, that, like, last 2-3 minutes of game 7 was, like, the most exciting, like, 3 minutes of sports I've watched in, like, a while. And again, it's like, I'm pretty casual with hockey. I really don't have too much, like, attachment to the Panthers, and that was, like, more high energy, more fun to watch than, like, any football I can think of in a while, like any basketball game I've watched in a while. That was like how much fun I had watching that game. It was really cool.
I can just imagine for both franchises, their fans, they both kind of have equal, like, moments. Like, for the Panthers, 3-0, they're excited. The Edmonton Oilers fans are sad. Then it switches around. Edmonton Oilers fans are excited. Florida Panthers fans are sad. And then game 7. So both franchises were, like, both happy, but also were kind of, like, depressed and suffering at that point. But just like what you guys said, I also am not really that, like, an avid fan of hockey. I'm kind of a casual fan. And I was watching a lot of Pat McAfee's show, and they were promoting it a lot, so I got hyped up. So I watched, like, a couple Bruins games, also a couple of games from, like, the Western Conference, from the Western Conference as well. So watching that got me now kind of a little bit into hockey as well, especially for how it's growing much more, because during that time you have the NBA playoffs and, like, blowout after blowout after blowout.
It was a boring NBA playoffs.
Versus the NHL, where it's like 1 goal, 2 goal difference, where, like, any second a guy can hit a puck and score a goal and then intercepts the other team's puck and scores another goal right there in, like, a couple of seconds. Like, that can happen in an instant. That's the beauty of that sport as well. So
that ending too, I think it's, like, it was so cool. Like, the scramble whenever the Edmonton pulled their goalie, like, trying to score it, like that. Like, I think it was, like, probably like a minute 45 left when they did it. It was just, like, so, like, intense and high energy. I feel like I'm trying to think of, like, an equivalent in another sport, But like I feel like the closest would be basketball, but like there's so much stoppages in basketball now, especially at that like the end of a game when teams are fouling. Like that intensity of like the last 2 minutes like was so awesome.
Yeah.
Like getting like chills now thinking about it. I
Yeah.
didn't even have a team playing.
Yeah,
like,
but plus also because I've attended recently a Tampa Bay Lightning game, and being in that stadium, in a hockey stadium, is insane. Because even watching on TV, you can hear the fans screaming.
Yeah.
That atmosphere is so lively in that atmosphere. Seeing right up close to the guys, you're hearing people banging on the bulletproof glass or whatnot, having fans yelling the
Bulletproof?
wait, is it
It's not bulletproof.
It's not.
I thought
Nah,
No.
it's puck-proof.
a puck
Puck-proof.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you got puck-proof glass. You got the horns buzzing around the stadium, very loud. The fans rallying up. It's like a great atmosphere. Yeah, that's a real true sports atmosphere to be
Yeah.
in that area. So
Am I the
you're
only one
right.
that? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, I saw the Panthers play the Lightning in their first like playoff game at home, and I can't even imagine. That was like the first team they played for the playoffs, and then in Game 7 at home, I can't even imagine how crazy it was because it was so exciting attending that game and just seeing like a playoff game atmosphere. It was a lot more intense than I kind of expected, and all the horns, like you said, hockey's a really fun environment.
yeah,
I also think, well, via watching the hockey playoffs this year, I've started to realize that like hockey players are insane. That they don't wear, like most of them don't wear like a face guard. Some of them will, but most of them are just wearing something that like are just covering their eyes.
Meanwhile,
And
it's flimsy at that.
yeah, like that puck is moving like 80, 90, at least it looks like 100 miles an hour. And like you're just not wearing anything, and
It makes me anxious thinking about
And
like
it's
that's what I'm
especially
frozen.
saying. Like in the fact that like when you're throwing a baseball, you have like a certain amount of control. Like I feel like you lose a lot of it when you're hitting something with the sticks. Like that is crazy.
I get anxious playing air hockey because I'm like, what if the puck flies off and hits me in my teeth?
and that
then they're
is
playing.
on top of like also worrying about like a 250-pound dude like skating at you at like
yeah.
30
like,
miles an
I always
hour.
watch
Like
games where like a guy just like not even near the puck, and the guy comes and rams him on the ground. Or,
Yeah.
like, including with that, I think it was like I forgot who was on the Panthers, but I know Brad Marchand was on the end of it, where the guy kind of like elbow like a punched him or something. Like even that in the playoffs, I'm like that.
well, it's
I
just
don't
like
see any other
every,
sports doing that. Guy
every
openly
30
punches a guy in the
seconds,
face in the game.
someone is getting like clobbered into
Yeah.
like a wall, or like it's like football at least it's like a 5-second play and then you're like, okay, I'm safe. Like
Yeah, I was gonna say, could we make the argument that hockey's more dangerous or violent than football?
I mean,
the
a
one
lot,
thing
a lot of them don't have teeth. A lot of them don't have teeth. So I
Half
mean,
the
Right,
reason people
you-
watch hockey is to watch the fights.
And
I know.
I get that.
I always look forward to them, but
yeah, the refs are just like cool, like just
nah, the ref. I feel like they're making it more difficult to fight, and they're stopping people quicker than they used to, especially back
Really?
in like the early 2000s. Like I would grow up watching. My dad's a big hockey guy, so I grew up watching it back like 2010 and stuff. And even like 14 years ago, the rules. It was a lot easier to have like really crazy fights. Now it's kind of people.
I still don't understand though
push.
like the thought process behind, like why can they fight though?
Thank you. No, well, there is an explanation. And
We
do
need
you
a
wanna,
hockey
do you
correspondent.
know why
I-
they fight?
you get
No.
Nick
Pretty
Cruz
much
over here.
because from what my understanding is that it's too dangerous to like just like grab them away from each other because of the blades on
That's
the
true.
thing, and obviously it's a marketing standpoint. Historically, the hockey players always throw down on the fight, and not to be the old head to be a stickler, but I just think that is so weird that they're allowed to just literally throw hands, just throw them in the box. I don't believe they get fined or anything like that. Like when dudes shove each other in the NBA, they get fined and suspended. I mean, freaking Draymond put Rudy Gobert in a chokehold, and he got a bunch of games. But if you're a hockey player, you could literally hit somebody with a roundhouse, and you'll be back in the game in like 5 minutes later. To me, that is just weird, and I just I don't understand the culture behind that. And it's not. We don't see that with football players. We wag our finger and we shake our heads when any other athlete gets into a fight on the field. But for some reason, because it's hockey, it's just all right.
Doesn't,
But
I feel like
I
that
feel like when you watch,
adds to the lore though a little bit, no?
Yeah, I was gonna say like when you watch like other sports, like of course NHL, not NHL, but the NBA and NFL, you see guys fighting. Of course, the rules are like the leagues like don't do that, but the fans will always rile up like let's go. But with the hockey, it's like both sides are like leagues like, okay, we're kind of lenient on it, while fans are like, let's go, let's go.
It feels so
Okay.
feral, though.
I have a question. Do you think that has anything to do with the padding? Because they have a lot more padding.
But
But
everyone's
they're
like
not
taking
punching.
headshots.
There's not padding on their face.
Yeah, everyone's
Well-
just taking headshots. No one's like going like
And there's
barely
like
they're
a
hanging
specific
towards-
style of like hockey fighting. I feel like
Where
every
you
time
have
it's
to
like you
grab
grab
the
their
guy
jersey, they're both
into your
locked in,
punch.
and you're just like,
You gotta drop the
sock'em
gloves
robot.
first off, and then get like a real like good like.
To me, it's the same thing when football players punch each other at practice or on the game and they
Oh, yeah,
have
with
the
the helmets.
on.
Like, why are you
Why are
punching
you
each other with
punching the
helmets on?
helmet? Like it definitely is a marketing thing. Like Megan said, a lot of people enjoy seeing the fights, but like I think it's. But what were you gonna say before?
I don't know.
It happens.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's just shout out hockey. Definitely, I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest. I probably won't keep up much with the regular season. I'll probably just, take a look at the standings, and when the playoffs comes around, that's when I really lock in.
Yeah, especially since like to me I feel like October is like the greatest month for us as a sports fan because got the MLB playoffs are like about to end. NFL is in the middle of their season. NBA starts. NHL starts. College football is in the middle of their season. So I feel like around the NHL time, a lot of those big sports everyone pays attention to, NFL, NBA, college football, everyone goes to those first, and not so much for the NHL until right around spring, where they got NBA and NHL and like spring training of baseball, basically. But mainly like those two sports, those playoffs, people focus more on those. But I mean, there are still people out there who are like just avid hockey fans that will watch and not care about the other sports. But I feel like the more general sports fan, you kind of geared towards watching more of like a 4:25 NFL game or like a noon college football game, like a prime time basketball game versus watching like an NHL game. Because if those other games are on, you have other options. A lot more people aren't going geared towards NHL, but I feel like from just seeing these playoffs, I feel like it definitely made a lot of fans out of us to want to go and start watching more of the NHL and being more appreciative. I won't say appreciative, but more like aware of hockey in a way. Because to me, my whole top sports are like football, basketball, baseball, then hockey. But even now, I'm starting to learn more about the game as well as starting to enjoy it more. Just like starting to know more of the rules, especially with Pat McAfee doing a great job kind of promoting that sport as well as with the other ESPN shows. Like First Take, no one was talking about the hockey playoffs at all except for when the finals were happening. But they were covering about the entire thing. They were interviewing players. They were interviewing PK Subban. And I forgot the one guy from the Rangers who's now like an analyst for ESPN's NHL thing. Like they're interviewing them multiple times, trying to know more about the sport, trying to like bring more awareness to NHL playoffs. And I do agree, like with NHL and baseball, like those sports, like other sports like NFL and NBA, like big blowouts. But with those two sports, like it can happen on a dime. Like your team in baseball could be down 3-0, but all of a sudden, guys hit a grand slam or whatnot right in the game. Versus NFL, get up 3 possessions, just run the clock out. Or NBA, you're up 20 points, run the clock out.
Yeah, I to that point that you're making about things kind of being able to change in an instant. One sport that I totally left off the show sheet, Euros for soccer and Copa America for over here in America. Did anybody watch it much?
I saw
USA is really bad, so I understand.
Hard Rock. With what happened in the Hard Rock Stadium is insane. And recently, like soon after that, the NFL was like, "Oh, we're bringing in this kind of big." People were saying like it was like a Big Brother thing, but it was like.
I know where you're going with this.
I'm like, I feel like it could have been because what happened to Hard Rock. Because for those who don't know what happened to Hard Rock, Copa America, USA was hosting that, which is like the soccer affiliation of all in North America and South America. And apparently, what I was hearing from
fans just got a little riled.
Yeah, I would say that like a lot of fans, especially a lot of Colombian fans, who didn't have tickets, they barged through the gates and like were going through vents, they were climbing up the buildings, and a lot of people didn't have tickets.
May I say though, everyone, I think what that shows is one, they need to heighten security for like the World Cup, but it just shows how unpassionate American sports fans are compared to like our European counterparts. Because to your point,
not even European, like even like the rest of the
true.
world.
I would say like
American.
just like how like more passionate just fans are outside the U.S. Because again, like I'm not the biggest soccer fan in the world, but my coworkers are huge soccer fans. So via their influence, I was watching a lot of it this year, and like just seeing like the clips that come like from outside of the games of like fans and just like the culture around soccer.
From media, I think.
It's like crazy how much more like just they care more about like, and I guess part of it is like when it's like a national team, like your country playing. It's easier because like it's like your country playing out there, but it's like night and day just how much more fans like care about like soccer.
Yeah,
than,
that's why I
like,
want to actually give out a
because
little
like I can't think of like a example of something like that for like NFL fans.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like you go back to like the 70s, like in Cleveland, like
Yeah.
10-cent beer night.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like an example like that, but it doesn't even come close. So like after watching all that, international soccer game is on my bucket list now.
Yeah, and actually I gotta say a quick shout out to Ken Levicka, the voice for the FAU Owls, because I was like talking with him on Twitter about it, about the whole like Hard Rock situation. He was like, Copa America, their tournaments, the turf is there, so security is there, so training facilities are there. So people were like saying, oh, Hard Rock security did an awful job. That was Copa America's thing. So now I gotta think, is Copa America to blame for this, for not being well prepared for this? Like, who really would be like? I know we don't not like at the position like point fingers at who should be at fault, but like that kind of comes down to the base. Like Hard Rock stadiums, they're the ones at fault, or it could be like Copa America's fault, because even throughout that tournament, which I really didn't pay much attention to any except for that Argentina-Colombia game.
Missed out.
But hearing like some stadiums, their turf was awful and players getting injured or whatnot. So I mean, looking at like
Even
the
all
turf
that,
and
though.
security, like who's to blame for all this?
Even all that did not ruin that final. That final game was awesome.
It was super delayed, and I was out with
Because of
family.
all that. But
Right,
that game
right.
was still so good, bro. Like to see, I'm not Argentinian, and again, like I'm not the most passionate like soccer fan in the world. But seeing Messi crying on screen, even I was like,
No, I was
Dang, man.
drinking those tears. My family's Colombian.
you
so-
were rooting for Colombia, but I feel like that was like, dang man. And then to see his boys like come back and win the game, I know that must have been.
No, dude,
Must
it
have been
was.
tough, but that was so cool to watch, bro. That was so awesome. Well, I think it like that last goal. I think it was Di Maria.
No, it wasn't Di Maria. It was somebody who came off the bench, and I think his story was that he had a bad World Cup with Argentina, so they benched him, and then because it went into extra time, they took him off the bench, and he scored. Yeah, man, Colombia, man, what a great run that they had, and I think what makes international events so like great is that sometimes like countries just need that. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing with like Detroit, when Detroit went as far as they did. The resident Detroit Lions fan, you know what I mean? They had been going through so much, whether it be stuff in the city or just overall mediocrity for years and
Yeah.
years. To have like an NFC Championship appearance, like that means so much to the city and to the fans.
It
so
warms
like
my heart.
right, so
Like-
imagine having like that same like feeling, but then like for a whole flippin' country. You know what I mean? So it was really dope. It's unfortunate all that stuff that Maddox did bring up. We obviously don't have all the information on hand about who's to blame for that. It was definitely really crazy to see, but I also like Cameron's point that we'll never see anything like that happen at an NFL game or an NBA game because people don't really care enough. But yeah, man.
I do gotta say though, I kind of agree with what Cameron was mentioning earlier about like European sports, like not just with soccer, but also like we see videos of like the crowds of European basketball games. It seems like other countries
Night
having
and
so much
day.
like fun as a crowd for that versus like I think for the pro leagues and the NFL and like America, I think maybe just because of their restrictions for the crowd, like more like restricted, but like
very
'cause I don't know the
corporate.
whole rules like for the restrictions for fans and either in Europe or in America, but like for European, they have like starting like fires, whatever. Not like starting fires and saying like
They have, like,
crowds,
flares.
flares, hanging banners, banging drums. Like they're doing.
It looks
so
just
much.
like a whole different experience.
Yeah.
Like,
And people are saying like, oh, you think Luka's worried about the NBA Finals? He deals with this all the time. In
yeah,
Like,
yeah, and like you'll like I think if you talk to international players, like that has an effect on the game. So, we need to be better as American sports fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, show a little bit more appreciation for what is being organized here for sure. But one thing that we're going to be bringing back to our shows that we had been doing for the longest is FAU housekeeping, which it'll be traditionally be at the beginning of the show. We'll get into the FAU topics, but since everyone's still getting their feet wet with first week, FAU football doesn't have a game scheduled for week 0. I never understood week 0 in college football. Now that I think about it,
I don't really understand it.
because why is it week 0? Why is it not just week 1?
I'm not sure really like either, but I want to say it's probably that like not all conferences are like starting the same week, so like some are starting.
Yeah.
And I know like part of it is like Hawaii is like one of like the first teams like always play. I've never really understood that.
I think also because they're doing this like classic they've done a couple of times where now it's like Florida State and Georgia Tech, but like it used to be like usually like Notre Dame playing. They're playing in Ireland, so also that as well like have conditioned because almost everyone's playing either Saturdays.
Yeah.
Some teams playing Thursdays, mainly like Saturdays and like rarely a couple
There's
times
so
Sundays.
many this year
like,
with like the conference realignment and like media deals changing. There's so many Friday games for like all conferences this year. A little voice crack there.
Well, that's what FAU's
I would say
first
that's what I was
game
gonna
is
say. For
a
our
Friday
intents and
game.
purposes, FAU doesn't play this week, but next week on Friday, August 30th, they travel to Michigan State.
Ypsilanti.
No, East Lansing. Ypsilanti
No,
is.
it's in East Lansing.
Yeah,
Ypsilanti?
Ypsilanti is Eastern Michigan, I want to say.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is,
If that's how you pronounce it.
I thought it was Michigan State, to be honest.
UM is Ann Arbor, Michigan State is East Lansing.
Yeah, but
Are you from Michigan?
My dad's from Detroit, so I
Okay.
go up to Michigan like every 2 years.
And you'll
I'm
be at that game,
super
right?
I will be at that game.
Yeah.
So I will not be here next Friday, but I will be flying to Michigan.
You will be boots on the ground, our correspondent.
No, yeah, you'll be our
But
correspondent for the Michigan State
No,
game.
but yeah, I'm super
I don't know if
familiar
you
with,
guys
like,
have
all
any-
Michigan stuff.
Do you guys have any flaming thoughts to get off about?
Well, we
FAU
do
football?
have another show on Friday that we can get into more FAU stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of coverage about the off season that FAU had, and I just think not only just for FAU, but in regards to pretty much all college teams right now. When you're putting together a team of transfers, you really need to have a great summer and pretty much a great summer, because a lot of the guys probably don't hit campus until the summer, even if they commit in the spring. So pretty much throwing a bunch of guys together and telling them to put a good product on the field. We'll have to see. I think when Brian White, who's the director of athletics now at FAU, when he signed or hired Tom Herman to be the football coach, this was probably something that he was expecting. Now with the transfer portal, FAU obviously has a lot of NIL efforts now with the OWL collectives, different things like that. So I think it'll be interesting to see, and I just think that in years past, especially last calendar year, we did a fair share of bashing on the football team. Me personally, I will admit that, but I'm not trying to use last season as sort of like a litmus test for how they're going to do this season, just because it's a new quarterback, and with new players, you kind of have to evolve your system. Tom Herman, obviously, he likes to pass the ball a lot, air raid system, but you have to evolve with the players that you have. So I think this first game is going to be a test. Obviously, when you're a mid-major school and your first game on the schedule is a Power 5 school, even if it is a smaller Big Ten school like Michigan State, I mean, it's still a Big Ten school. So it's definitely going to be a huge test. But I think just going to that game, FAU should just try to have there should just be something to build on. And obviously, the hope is that they don't get blown out.
Yeah.
I'll say it now. I'm not expecting a win, just because it is a Power 5 school. But who knows? Maybe next week.
Like I was gonna say,
they
like I
prove us
heard
wrong.
like Tom Herman, he was mentioning how what's different between first year and second year. So the second year, a lot of guys on this team want to be here versus the other guys are like, okay, I'm your new coach. Let's see what we got. And I feel like now with conference realignment for all sports, but mainly for football, men's basketball, I'm interested to see how these new teams, new programs are now going to fit into this new conference and like compete against them as someone with very higher levels of competition, as well as seeing how like the transfer portal, as we were mentioning with last year or last semester, we were mentioning a little bit about Memphis and their men's basketball and their team. Majority of them were transfers. They didn't play out that well because none of them had that chemistry. So now seeing how other teams, including Arkansas and also here at FAU, all these new guys coming in, how's it all going to mesh once the season starts? So that's what I do agree with you for that. Summer is most important to see how these guys play out, because once fall starts, like is the train
It's
starts.
go time.
Yeah, it's go
Yeah.
time. The train leaves the track. So
Yeah, and I think that what you don't want going into the season is you don't want it to be a middle of the season and you're making drastic changes to the depth chart.
Yeah.
It's been announced that Cameron Fancher, who is a transfer from Marshall, is going to be the starting quarterback going into that Michigan State game. So I think it probably means a lot for the team to know who their leader is going to be on the offensive side of the ball. They've also named captains on defense and offense. So yeah, I think for this game, there's just a lot of things to look at, and what better way to test what you got and the players that you have than pretty much your toughest opponent on the schedule.
Before we get off this topic, though, like you guys are saying that like this is almost like this Michigan State game is almost like a litmus test. I would disagree with that, just because of what you said. It's like a whole brand new team with a new quarterback, and within that, you're trying to supplement so much loss of production. One, from losing LeJontay Wester. Not only was he like far and away your best and most productive wide receiver, Tom Herman brought this up at one of the practices. Everyone in the world knew on third down or in the red zone or like when you need a play, the ball was going to LeJontay Wester. Now they're going to make up those yards. They need to find someone who's their go-to guy.
But hold on, because my thing, right, about that is, and this is for everybody, do we feel like there needs to be a guy, or can it kind of be, are we kind of hoping to lean on depth of let's have a different guy every game?
To Herman's answer, I think that it's like and he said this, that he's confident that they will, like he said, he's confident that they'll make up those yards. But it's nice as a play caller, it's nice as like a quarterback to know that like I have someone who is that much better than everyone else on the field. When I need a catch on third down, I can call up something for LeJontay. He's going to get me that first down. Mm-hmm. That's what you're losing, I think. So you're asking Cam Fancher to like acclimate into this offense without that, and also some news that dropped within like the past week. B.J. Alexander, he's out for the season. He was their most productive returning receiver. They do have some transfers coming in, but he was going to be a guy that they were probably going to depend on a lot, and you're losing him now. They also have a right tackle who's going to be out for Eastern Michigan. All this is to say, all these odds stacked up, in addition to you're just playing a bye game against a Power 5 team, I wouldn't call this like a litmus test for all those reasons. I think like when you get further into the schedule, like the next week you'll play Army, I think a game like that is a better litmus test. Well, all this is to say that, like, if next Friday, if FAU kind of gets trounced, I don't think.
Trounced? What's you
What
guys?
does that mean?
Trounced?
Trounced?
I always thought that's like
Trample?
trampled,
Yeah.
trounced, same
Trampled?
thing.
Oh.
Is this a word? I'm gonna check this
I wasn't
out.
trying to crack.
No,
I'm
you're
just
all
saying,
good, but
like when
if
Maddox
FAU
said tremendous earlier, I wanted to say something too. That's Maddox's go-to.
Trounce,
Wait,
according
did I
to
say-
the Oxford Dictionary, defeat heavily in a contest.
Okay, so
Bang.
yeah.
Okay. So when FAU gets trounced,
If
If.
I don't think that's like reason to like make any like huge flaming takes or have any like foregone conclusions, just because like I said, you kind of have the odds stacked up against you in this game, plus it's in a bye game. It's almost like written in the script that you're gonna lose, man. That's why you're getting paid.
yeah, and that's pretty much how it goes for people that don't know. When mid-major schools play Power 5 conferences, the Power 5 school actually pays the mid-major to play them because it's called a bye game. But there's definitely been scenarios in the past where schools pay for those bye games and then they get punched in the mouth. But so that's what I'm saying. There is opportunity to do that. I have already declared on air live for the airways. It's been set out into the ether. I mean, it's going to be a tough game for them to win, but I still think there can be an identity found on both sides of the ball, like you said.
And I completely agree that you need what your goal shouldn't be like getting like completely
Roll
evaluating
over.
your team. It should be, like you said, going in there and developing an identity, like figuring out, like, one, I think we get a good idea of who Cam Fancher is, because he's a guy that started, I want to say, 17 games at Marshall, so it's not like he's some young guy who's never played Division I getting thrown to the Wolves. But we do need to know like what we're getting, and that's something you get out of this game. You start building an identity on offense, because when you're completely restarting, even with returning the same system, it might not be like there might be changes in play calling, some changes in personnel. You want to see what these guys have to offer. I completely agree. Like, something to build off. But, you know, win or lose, or maybe if they do win, maybe it's time to start making, like, some hot takes. But if they lose that game really badly, I don't think we should be, like, you know, changing our mind on any, like, one player or coach. Yeah, just don't leave that game no matter what happens with, like, any crazy hot takes is what
Yeah,
I
well,
think.
that game, it'll be a learning opportunity for both teams. You
For
know,
sure.
FAU has basically a lot of new players, and so does Michigan State. I mean,
Right.
their new head coach is like Oregon State's former head coach, and
And a lot of turmoil they went through last year with how
with
Mel Tucker
the
departed.
whole that thing, and
Yeah.
then there was some stadium thing that was advertised that was not correct, like media correct. So I think it'll be a really interesting game to see just how both of these basically new teams come together and how they can compete. Obviously, you know, Michigan State's Power 5 and FAU is not, so there's still that disadvantage, but still it'll be kind of a rebuilding game for both.
Yeah, definitely something to watch out for that we'll get into more into the next show. But I think we're hitting the hour mark.
Yeah.
How we feel about that first show?
It was great.
Great.
I think it was pretty good, and we're going to get better as it goes on. The set will evolve as we go on. We have a lot of plans and dreams and hopes and aspirations for the show. I want to thank everybody for watching on our Instagram Live. We're still working out the kinks to be live on our radio and on the Breezeway, so stay tuned for that. You'll be able to hear our beautiful voices and some Cameron voice cracks soon enough. But yeah, this has been the UPress Play Sports podcast. But before we do that, where can they find you, Maddox?
They can find me on Instagram at MaddoxBlade04 and on Twitter at Maddox Greenberg.
You can find me on Instagram at Megan_Bruinsma, and then Twitter, Megan Bruinsma.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at jd.delcastillo and on Twitter, jd_Delcastillo.
And you can find me on Twitter at CamPriester247.
Thank you guys so much for watching again, and yeah, we'll see you later, guys.
Peace.
Peace.